Have a nice day, student. Today we discuss about the improvement of crop rotation. Improvement. Have a nice day, student. Today we discuss or continue the chapter improvement in food resources. Improvement, earlier we have discussed increase the quantity as well as quality of food. We call them improvement in food resource. So continue this chapter today. In the last class we have discussed about the how we can develop the new varieties or varietal improvement. In this case we have discussed already how we can improve the variety. We call it the varietal improvement. So in the last class we have discussed about the genetical manipulation which is used for the improvement of the variety. Today we discuss about the Green Revolution. Green Revolution is the revolution which was started by Norman E. Borlaug in the world for the improvement of crop production. In India it was started by Dr. M.S. Swaminathan. इन्होंने वीट और राइस के अंदर क्रॉप की प्रोडक्टिविटी इम्प्रूव की थी, इम्प्रूव की है. इट मीन्स इंक्रीज द प्रोडक्शन ऑफ राइस एंड वीट. दिस इज नॉन एज द ग्रीन रिवोल्यूशन. इन दिस द थ्री बेसिक स्टेप्स वाज इन्वॉल्व. फर्स्ट, implementation of new techniques, new technology or new technique. In the Green Revolution, the three basic steps are involved. That is the first basic step, the implementation of new technology. Second, applications of fertilizers, pesticides and insecticide in the industries, in the agriculture industry or agriculture. Now, third one, the implementation of new agronomic techniques or agriculture technique. Implementation of new agriculture techniques or practices such as crop rotation, multiple cropping, etc. So all these techniques are collectively used in the agriculture field and increase the production of wheat and rice. In India, the very good result we found in the wheat and rice, so we call it the Green Revolution, in which we increase the productivity of crop. It was started in the 1967 or 1960s, and its results we have got it, and so many varieties we have developed in the Green Revolution. Especially Swaminathan developed the wheat new varieties of it, Sharbati Sonara, which is high yielding wheat varieties. Now, next we discuss about the crop production management. What is the crop production management? Crop production management. Earlier we have discussed already crop. Crop, it means growing of more than one plant or growing of plants in agriculture field. We call them crop. Crop production management, how we can increase the productivity of crop with the help of some techniques, and how we can manage the production of crops. So first of all, the crop production management depends on the few things. First thing, understanding how crop develop and grow. Understanding about the how crop develop and grow. First of all, we should know about the crop. What is the cropping pattern? What is the crop nature? What is the crop habits? How they can develop in the agriculture field, and what are the suitable conditions for the crop. For example, suppose we are discussing about the rice. The rice requires the more water as compared to the other crops. So we should know about these things. Now, second step is the how we can manipulate the various factors which affect the crop production. Manipulate the factors which affect the crop production. So these are some basic steps which are very necessary for the management of the crop production. What are the approaches? What are the basic parameters which can implement and increase the crop production, and we can manage the crop production? So first of all, we discuss about the first step we have discussed here. We discuss here nutrient management. What are the nutrients? Nutrients are the substance or molecules which are necessary for the growth and development of a living being or a crop. So in the case of plants, what are the nutrients? Nutrients are the basically minerals which obtain the plant from soil or elements. Plants require the approximately 40 elements. 40 elements are present in their body. They require the 16 elements from outside their body. So the elements present in the plant body, are approximately 40. And how many elements are required by the plant body for the growth and development? They are 60. We call them essential elements which are required for growth and development of. They are 16 in number. They are 16 in number. So these are the 16 elements. How plant get them? What are the procedure from where they can obtain by the plants? So these elements are divided in 3 groups from where plant can obtain them. So these 16 elements are divided in certain parts from soil. Soil is the source of maximum elements. Approximately 13 elements are obtained by the plant from the soil. From air, plant obtain only 2 elements. One is the carbon, second is oxygen. Carbon and oxygen plant obtain from the air. Now third one we call them water. Plant obtain the hydrogen from water. So these are the basic sources of elements for plants. Hydrogen. So these are the basic sources from where plant obtain the elements. 13 elements from soil, 2 elements from air, 1 element from the water. So now next point. On the basis of availability of these elements in the soil, these elements are further categorized in 2 groups. First of all, we call them macronutrients. Macronutrient, it means they are present in the very large quantity in the soil as well as the required in the large quantity for the growth and development of the plant. We call them macronutrients. Macronutrients are the nutrients which required by the plant in the large quantity. We call them macronutrient. Another we call them micronutrient. Micronutrients, they are required in very small quantity. We call them micronutrients. So these are the 2 categories of elements which are present in the soil. One we call them microelements or micronutrients, another we call them macronutrients. So what are the basic categorization or basic criteria for the nutrients? So what are the basic criteria or basic parameter for a nutrient? So nutrients, features of the nutrients or features of the elements which are essential for the living beings, for the plants, for the crop. So their requirement should be specific. Their requirement should be specific. Now next, it cannot replaced by another elements. Its deficiency can cause the disease. It cannot be replaced. It cannot be replaced. The third one, its deficiency cause the disease. Cause the disease in plants. Now, such elements play a very vital role in the metabolism of a very important role or a very vital role in metabolism of crop. So these are some basic criteria which are show the nutrient specificity or they show the nutrients importance in the plant. Earlier we discussed already micro and macronutrients. So what the elements which are the micro and macro we discuss here. So first of all we discuss about the macronutrients. Macronutrient, it means they are the required in a very large quantity in the growth and development of the plant body. So we call them macronutrients. For example, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium and sulfur. These 9 elements are known as the macro elements. Now, second category we call the micro elements or micronutrients. Micronutrients are required in a very small quantity for the growth and development of the plant body, but if they are absent in the soil or they are not available in the plant body, they will cause the disease in plant body. We call them deficiency diseases. For example, iron, manganese, copper, zinc, boron, molybdenum and chlorine. These are the 7 elements which are responsible for specificity or they are classified under the micronutrients. So these are the 7 elements we are considered micronutrients and the 9 elements which are considered as a macronutrients, growth and development of plants. So these are the some categorization of nutrients on the basis of their requirement by the plant. Now we discuss about the next point, manures and fertilizers. Manure are the substance or organic matter which fulfill the requirement of nutrients of plants in soil. So first of all we discuss about the how we can fulfill the requirement of nutrients of plants in the soil. So first of all we discuss about the manure. Manure are basically organic molecules, organic decomposed matter. Organic decomposed matter is called the manure. Manure having some specific features. For example, it is biodegradable. It is biodegradable, it means it cannot cause any pollution. It doesn't cause any environmental pollution. Environment. The manures are prepared at the domestic level. They are prepared at domestic level by the farmers. There is no need to any very expensive material or expensive input. So they are cheap as compared to the fertilizer. Manures increase the soil structure, increase the soil texture. It increases the water holding capacity in the soil. Water holding capacity in the soil. Water holding capacity in soil. So that there are certain features which are very important in the case of manures. But some drawbacks also in the manures. What are the drawbacks and some demerits or limitations? So we discuss about the limitations of manure. So what are the limitations? First limitations, they are very heavy and bulky nature, so they are not we can't transfer them, so they are not transferable. Now next, they are not nutrient specific, not nutrients specific. So these are some limitations because they are not completely a solution of nutrients to the soil, but they are very important in the case of ecological point of view and environmental point of view, because it will not cause any type of pollution. Thanks a lot for today and have a nice day.